pricey. $140. How many greens do I buy a machine for $140?
How you're going to progress, how you're going to do in each season, and of course,
I'm not sure what's with this pricing going on.
infantry,
Maybe it's because
ranged, or artillery. So it's going to be infantry unit.
All right, good morning. This is going to be attempt number 2 at this because I messed up hotkeys and stopped streaming not even 2 minutes into my last attempt. So, as always, if any of this is helpful, by all means, I'd greatly appreciate any likes, follows, shares. It'd be greatly appreciated. Let's get into this. So, you've reached CH17, so keep level 17. Here we go. Now, I am on an alternate account. Different state this time, a little further ahead. This keep is currently sitting at level 20. So I'm going to go over all the things that you would have run into at keep level 17, what you should look out for, where things should be. We'll double check that. So by the time you reach keep level 17, your resource plots should be the same level as your keep. Your intergalactic harbor should be the same level as your keep. Your training grounds should all be the same level as your keep, or at least, at the very least, your main troop type should be at that same level. As usual, your wall should be your manufacturing, your parts workshop. So that's where you create parts for your Titan or your ship. You create the materials for it, and then you can attempt to, for lack of better wording, gamble a part from those materials. I'll get into that in a little bit. What else should you have? Boom, boom, boom. You'll have chosen a policy by then, which is this building here. So when you get to the point of choosing a policy, you have two options, either advanced economy or armed plunder. For level 1 to, say, about, I don't know, 1 to 17, advanced economy is your best bet. You get a higher resource generation in your keep, and you also unlock a building called your resource lab. So what this lab does is, the higher the lab level, the more resources you can automatically claim after a 12-hour timer. So right now, because my lab is at level 14, I can get 2.3 hours worth of resources based on whatever level all my in-keep resources are. So it's super handy. It keeps all your resource totals up. This keep in particular, I've got 60 million ori, so this is a farm. I use this to supply my main keep with enough ori to do its upgrades, stuff like that, at a higher level. Super important, and it's one of those, if you don't, you're going to have a really tough time. So this is why I said before, make yourself a farm or two. You don't have to keep them at the same level as you keep. You can have them at a lower level, but as long as these are constantly producing and you're constantly doing things, it's super helpful. Another set of buildings that come up before you get too far. I said in the previous video, keep your research going nonstop. That is super important. I'll get into where you kind of should be by CH17. The other building that comes up is your meteorite lab. Now this lab should be going non-stop. From the moment you put it down, you should start doing the upgrades immediately. So nano intelligence here, it doesn't cost any specific materials aside from your basic resources to level this up. Super important that you do, because with this research you gain skill resistance, and what that is when you're fighting and the heroes are doing their attacks, there's the hero skills, which is going to be what makes or breaks a fight. It's going to reduce the damage taken from those skills. Super important. Max this out level 25 as quick as you can. Now, depending on your troop type, infantry, artillery, or tanks, the next one you go in, so I'm infantry, I'd max this out again at 25 as fast as I can, because that's a attack and defense buff for my infantry line. Now, this is where you start needing extra materials, so space-time matrices. This goes up with every research. You can get into the range of, by the time you get to your bottom sets of researches, and I'll explain what these ones are shortly, you're going to need 25,000 matrices to finish this off. This is your matrix factory. To make space-time matrices, you need ori. This is where having farms is super important. This is where the main source of your ori is going to come from, is your farms. Always, always, always have this maxed out. Always have this making ori. Matrices. If not, you're going to start falling behind. You always want this going, so you can always keep your research going. So you get through this tier. You max out Space Disruptor. You max out Gravity Generator. Now, by the time you hit your first season, if you've been following along, and you've been pushing your keep and, really going at it, especially as free to play, you will be somewhere in the Gravity Generator research, which is good because your final researches on this tier are for combat speed. Now, when it comes to your marches, there's only two things that rule above all that will make and break fights, especially in the end game. It is your troop health and your troop combat speed. Now, your health is your survivability versus most stuff. That's what's going to push a fight to a full 8 rounds. However, in the late game, there are hero skills that can wipe a march in one shot. This is where combat speed comes in as a key factor. You want to have more combat speed on your heroes, so you attack first. It gives yourself the opportunity for your heroes to introduce their shutdown skills to stop your opponent from wiping you in one shot. Getting to this is most important. It takes time, but you will get there. Get this maxed out as fast as you can. Which, that'll be a little further down the line. Don't worry much about it. But absolutely, keep your Matrix Factory going nonstop. Keep your lab research going nonstop. Keep your main research going nonstop. Now, for your main research, by this point, you'll have 4 Titans available that you can play around with. You don't need all 4 of these maxed. However, you're going to want 2 of them down to Hero Leadership, which is the second one, to unlock your 3rd hero. And then for this being the first Titan that unlocks, the 2nd Titan, 3rd, and 4th, on your first Titan that you're using, it's now going to be your secondary troop type. So for me, instead of doing infantry for my skills on this one, I want to do the artillery research to buff the attack and defense. So I'll max those out, and then this Titan's technically complete. We can do these researches later, just for ease of throwing whatever we want in there. But for now, it'll be my secondary troop type. Central Titan, which will be the Titan that you end up using the most across your entire time in the game. Get the 2nd hero leadership unlocked, which unlocks your 3rd hero position. And then max out the last 2 for your main troop type. The reason for this is after keep level 18, you'll end up changing your policy. You'll go from advanced economy over to armed plunder. Because one of the ideological features in armed plunder is your central titan can now plunder ori from cities. Super important because that maxes out just over 500,000 ori per hit if you're using T1 tanks. Now, if you remember in the previous video, I said make a whacking pile of T1 tanks. This is why. So you'll be able to actually farm cities or your farms with T1 tanks and get a lot of ori really fast, which saves you a lot of headache. So that ties in with the manufacturing building, your parts workshop. So you'll see our central titan dock here. Oh, come on. So once the third hero skill is unlocked, you'll have your 3 heroes on here. It'll be your main troop type, so you can rearrange your heroes accordingly. And then, if you click on this guy here, you get into your Titan parts. Now, your Titan parts will be based on, you can do every single ship. You want to focus on your central Titan first. You want to make parts for your main troop type. Now, here I've already made parts for infantry. We're going to go try and make a part right now for infantry, and I'll show you kind of what's going on in the parts workshop, what you should be looking at, what you should be doing. So, this is your production queue. Here you make the materials to be able to make those parts. Now, Mountain Mover down here, that's for a gathering march. Metal Beast is for tanks. Thunderbolts for artillery. Blazing Flames is for infantry. So, since we're an infantry main, we want to keep making materials here. Now, there is research you can do to open up more material queues. Super handy to open up at least, 2 or 3 more, so that you can set them, not have to worry about them, and they just automatically, they'll finish one, go to the next, finish one, go to the next. The initial production time for parts is just about 7 hours for 10 common parts. Now, you need 4 materials to combine to make one higher tier of material, which I'll show you. So we go here, we go over to our materials tab. We'll go down to infantry. So here we go. Right now we've got common parts in gray, 1 uncommon part in green. We've got rare parts in blue. Purple parts will be epic. Orange parts are legendary. And yellow parts are mythic. Mythic is the parts that we are aiming for. That's what we want to get. I will show you in another video the end result of what happens from what I'm about to show you. And what can happen, which is good. Now, when you're producing those materials, it starts off, it'll just stockpile, here. So right now I've got 12 here. What you can do is you go to synthesize. You can now combine them. So it takes 4 to make 1. So right now I've got 12. I can make 3 common pieces. So I hit synthesize. Boom. I now have 4 common pieces. I can synthesize that into 1 more rare. Now I have 2 rare parts. You keep doing that until you get 1 of the 4 types all the way up to mythic. Once you have 1 mythic, then the other 3 parts you want to be epic, purple. The reason for that is this game has a funny way of always trying to fail, quote unquote, to the lowest denominator. So, where are we here? Let's get to the right spot. Down here, yeah. So when you're going to make parts, right? So I've already got an engine there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make a detector here. So, no, not a detector. Let's go. Do I have which one do I have? No, it's going to have to be a control chip. Did I not upgrade that? No, I didn't, because I didn't have enough. Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. So, when you're going to make parts, right? Detector, for example, you're going to have, this detector takes one of each type of material. So, when you go to do this, you're going to want, say, your scrolls here to be mythic. You're going to want one of these, and then these three are going to be purple. The reason for this is, instead of it costing well over 10,000 fuel rods, or close to 20,000 fuel rods to make the part, it only costs about 7,000 or 8,000. So your overall costs are down. The chances of you getting that attempt are 1 in 4 for a win. It's the best odds you're going to get. And even if you fail 3 times and you get it on the 4th, it's still cheaper than as if you were trying to do all 4 of these materials at Mythic. It takes 10 times longer to do all 4 materials at Mythic than it does to do just 1, 3 rares, and away you go. Or sorry, 3 epics, and away you go. Super worthwhile. I've done this in 4 different keeps in 3 different states. It's worked out the same way every time. Overall cost is less than half of what it takes most people, and you can get it done relatively fast, because if you're looking to keep on the competitive edge, then what's going to happen is, before I had mentioned that you want to save your universal speed ups. This is why. So to speed up your material production, you can use your general accelerators. This is why if you stockpile them and you only use them on your materials, you can save yourself a lot of time in your material production. You can stockpile your material that much faster, and you could actually attempt to get a mythic part up to, I believe, twice a week if you push a little more of that research, because that research that in your research tower will cut down your overall production time to under 3 hours, and eventually, instead of making common materials, you'll be able to make 10 uncommon materials, which is the green. Sorry here, my sinuses are going absolutely off the wall. Ugh, having a cold is not fun. So, going back just a hair, always keep these running. Use your general accelerators to stockpile materials. You can go to your materials page and make sure you synthesize those materials up to the highest level possible until you can collect a whole bunch. So what I usually do is I'll stockpile 16 plus, and then try and push whatever I can to get 1 mythic, and then just make sure that I have enough in epic so that I can do my my parts. So always keep that running. Do a little bit of research. We'll get into where that research is right now. So, parts production under armaments, if you get into that, it does cost fuel rods to do this research, so that costs a little bit of worry to make, not nearly as bad. You can do the first one by keep level 17. You can have this at 10, this at 10, which increases your material production speed, and you can open up your second slot. You don't really have to go any further It is helpful if you do these 2 to 20 and you open up your third slot, but that could be pushing it a little bit for keep level 17. You do have more important research to do, which is your abyss research. This is the key, because you get your double rewards for 4 to 6, increased points overall, double rewards 1 to 3, and so far and so forth. Now, you don't have to do this as 100% to max it out to where you want it to be. Realistically, it only needs to end up at around 85% or so. What you end up doing is the bare minimum up top to get to your next one. You keep doing your bare minimums across here as well to get to your next ones here. And then when you hit this section, these all need to be maxed at 15. They cost Astra Essence to do so. This needs to be maxed at 20 before you can hit this, which is your double rewards 3. This is a pre-requirement that you need by the time you hit CH23 to be able to get to your T9 research. People will hit this closer to CH25, that's A-OK. By this point as well, you should have probably over 50% of city development done. The research in here, aiming to get all the way down to more Ori production in your city, faster research production, and faster building. So try and push that in between your researches. And then Army Enhancement by CH17. Here's a good example. You'll want all these maxed. That should be maxed. These should be maxed, and by CH17 you should be going through these. Now, this is where you'll focus on your individual troop type, your primary troop type, to max those out to 10 first. To do your full metal armor, though, it's going to require you to have level 1 in different places. So you're going to need level 1 here, level 1 here, here, here. So these you'll do your bare minimums just to be able to do this research here. Now, prerequisite, this is why doing your abyss research is important. You need level 1 double reward 1. And, of course, it costs Astra Essence to do these researches. This is where I cannot stress enough yet again. When you are doing your events, Pinnacle of Prowess is a waste of time. Free-to-play players should not be focusing this. Lord of Origin, waste of time. Free-to-play players should not be focusing this. These two events do not give you Astra Essence. If you want to keep up and you do not want to fall 2 seasons worth of power and research behind, focus on War in the Abyss. That should be the primary event that your speed ups get sunk into. I have watched too many free-to-play players that have awesome potential totally ignore this event. They don't do their 6, 7, 8, 9 boxes, and they fall so far behind, and then they wonder why they can't keep up, and they complain the game's too hard. The game's not too hard. They're not focusing in the right areas. It's so tempting to focus on the other 2 events because of what they give. You know, 30 Magini tokens, that's great. But they don't realize it takes almost 350 tokens to max them out, if not way more. Especially once the hero matrix is unlocked. Not worth it. 150 universal tokens, you can get them elsewhere. Not worth it. Stick to War in the Abyss. That is the key. That's what gets you through each day. Gets you all your points. Gets you your Astra Essence, which is what you need, because that ends up doubling. the harder they focus Abyss, the better off they will do. So, the reason why we've titled this So You've Reached CH17 is because before you reach CH18 and unlock your T-frames, there's one very important thing that you have to do. Now, in my previous video, we started off as humans. That's fantastic for the construction speed buff. However, for most free-to-play players, before you start your level 18 upgrade, you're going to want to change your race. So you load up your profile here, you click on your avatar, you go down to where it shows your current race, which will say human down here. You hit that little icon and you change to Ezan. The reason you change to Ezan is when you finally finish the construction for CH18, you are automatically forced to build your T-frame dock, and it automatically assigns you your first T-frame. Now, here we go. Where are we here? So, if you were to remain human, this is a T-frame you would get. This T-frame is good for jungling. It's really not great for much else. Now, the two most common T-frames you're going to see, especially late game, are Doomsday, which is built by the Ezan race, and Infinite Glory, which is used for seasonal play to lower troop deaths, which is really important down the road. And we'll see, I'll show you why you'll get Doomsday first, and then later on you'll pick up Infinite Glory. So, at 18, you've changed your race, at 17, you've changed your race to Ezan. You finish your building upgrade for 18. It makes you make your T-frame dock. You now have Doomsday as a T-frame. So to level up Doomsday as a T-frame, you come down here. You have all these researches you can do. You have to do one after another. It's all in sequential order. And it all costs fibers to upgrade. Dispersion fiber. The more you have, the more you can upgrade. You can get them from daily tasks. You can get them from different rewards, from event rewards. You start upgrading him. If the keep is an active part of, if it's an active main keep, you'll be able to push him pretty far off the jump. The entire goal is to get him down to 0 point energy era for the last 3 researches, which are attack buffs when raiding cities, destruction when raiding cities, and being able to plunder Ori with this T-frame. So what this means is, instead of being able to plunder Ori with only your central Titan dock, you can place this T-frame on, say, your very first Titan dock. You can put him here, and now this Titan can plunder Ori, and your central Titan can plunder Ori. So you can double down on your intake to make farming even easier. So if you have multiple farms, you can now farm twice as much with the same, with close to the same income per march. But instead of only having 1,000 fuel to farm with, you've now got 2,000. The cool part is, okay, you run out of fuel on your first march. You can take that T-frame, go to your third march, put them on your third march, and now this march can farm Ori, while this march recovers fuel. So super handy. Now, for upgrading your T-frames, as you upgrade down here, you'll unlock the accessory interface and your fuel core interfaces. The accessory interfaces are, let's take a look. they're going to be things like in here would be the turbocharger. When a battle starts, T-frame deals physical damage to enemy teams. It's kind of like a major weapon or a major attribute. Whereas when you get into some of these down here, these are all basic stat boosters for that, for the fuel core interfaces. So right now I have resonance armor, which is defense buff, marching speed buff, and attack buff. Whereas this one over here, lower rarity, so I only have 2 instead of 3 tiers. Same with this one here, only 2. But we get like infantry health and infantry attack, and there's our percentages. Best case scenario, we'd get a legendary component, which gives us 7.5% attack, 7.5% health, and then a third attribute, which could be whatever. It's not a big deal. We're looking for that magical number of 7.5 and 7.5 for health and attack. Doesn't matter if it's infantry, artillery, or tank parts. That's kind of what you're looking for. Health and attack at 7.5 for perfect rolls. Now, you can manufacture components with selectable attributes. So right now I'm going to search for if I got a health one anywhere. That's not tank. Boom. So artillery health, right? I can go to try and make a part, to try and make a legendary part. To manufacture, it's going to take 6 hours. It's going to cost 500 fibers. So you can let that run, see what happens, and see what the game gives you. If it gives you better than what you have, you can install it on your T-frame. Or if not, if it's not what you want, you click on your T-frame dock, you come over here. When you get into this section here, you go over to trading. Any unused modules that you don't want to use, you can sell them and get some fibers back. So the reason you go for Doomsday first is that allows you to plunder your extra Ori. That's going to be the one most people use. It's the one most people use for city attacks. However, there is a neat little feature where once you hit keep level 25, you get a free T-frame certification key to unlock a second T-frame for free. Anything more than that, you either have to go through the Iron Ambition bundle, which pay-to-play players, super worthwhile to do. Gets you a third T-frame for really cheap. But for free-to-play, at level 25, you get an extra key. You'll want to unlock Infinite Glory. The reason is, in season, when you're attacking towers, gates, stuff like that, you are going to end up wanting to have increases the assigned army's death to severely wounded ratio by 20% when stationed or attacking ancients. So when you attack an ancient and you have guaranteed deaths in season, because you're attacking that, it will convert 20% of those troops to severely wounded, so you get to keep them. It helps so much for lowering troop losses. It is wild. So super worthwhile to go for this T-frame. Second, level her up, max her out, and you'll have a much better season than most. What else? So that aside, you'll want to make sure that you're leveling a lot of your buildings as you go. Making sure your trade harbor's still there. Keep your researches and your production going absolutely non-stop. Your battle research should be making good progress by then. You'll have hit keep 18. You get your T-frame. You start working with your T-frame. And then it's just the same process. You continue working on your researches. You continue upgrading your keep. The next big hurdle you want to get to is keep level 22. As we mentioned before, keep level 22 is where you unlock your T8 troops. That's the big one because that is what most people will use going into seasonal play. Now, with the majority of that cleared, we will go into well, we'll do hero composition in the next video when I jump into a bigger keep, because it's easier to explain with them unlocked. However, what we can do is we can go take a look at Origin, so I can show you what your Season 0 map is going to look like without fog on it. So as before, maps all sectioned off. The blue dots are going to be anybody from your alliance, depending on where they are on the map, spread out. So this is what your Origin map kind of looks like with no fog left on it. The fog will automatically clear after chapter 22 of your Origin storyline. And this is kind of how things lay out. So alliances will set a headquarters. They'll try and make territory to get to their towers. They'll take over the towers for extra buffs. Then there's the gates between sections. In an early state, if alliances are sharing gate takeovers, tower takeovers, it's beneficial for everybody because then everybody's getting those rewards early on. There's a lot of gates and a lot of towers to take over. You know, there's even some that we still haven't done in this state. Worthwhile to do. The biggest thing is if the state's going to survive. I cannot stress this enough. It's going to boil down to, especially in new states, there's going to be two main alliances. They're going to butt heads. There's going to be issues because there's going to be one person who wants to merge and unify. And there's going to be one who wants to farm the entire state. Do not let them farm the entire state. That's how you kill the state. That's how people quit, go to new states. It's a whole whacking pile of problems. And it doesn't do anything except set you further behind for seasonal play. It will absolutely cripple an alliance or keeps from seasonal play. So, what ends up happening is once you get past the second zone, once you get through the gates into the center, you come on to the throne. Now, at one point, the way this was all set up is down here in blue, we had this side of the throne and this side of the throne. Up here in red, they had that side of the throne, that side of the throne. And it turned into, these were the two main alliances left. I was pushing for everybody to merge before the throne fight. They didn't want to listen. They decided they wanted to fight for the throne. And they didn't realize that, when I told them there's a big difference between veteran players and experienced competitive players in this game. And they lost miserably. Part of their loss was conceding into merging, which was what I had been pushing for the whole time. I wish they had done so before the throne fight. I would have had a lot more sleep during those days. But the throne fight essentially boils down to this. There are 4 towers surrounding the throne. You need to have territory, so a border stone here, that touches the edge of the throne to be able to attack it. You can send a march to fill the throne. You need to have possession of these 4 towers, 1, 2, 3, 4, or else if the enemy has possession of those towers, any march you have in the throne takes tick damage. That tick damage will kill troops. Those troops you will never get back. They are permanent losses. So you want to minimize the damage done as much as possible by holding those 4 towers and the throne. As a benefit to holding those 4 towers, the timer to possess the throne drops significantly down to from like 7 hours plus down to about 3 hours or so. That you need to actively hold the throne, actively defend it, and actively defend these towers, because your opponents will be trying to crash into you and take everything over. Once it's all said and done, you find out, okay, hey, there's your emperors. You know, started off, boom, kept the same emperor because there are buffs. No, those are titles. There we go. There are buffs that you can apply. That's privileges, decrees. There we go. There's buffs you can apply to the state which cost talent to use. This is why a lot of states will end up putting farms as the emperor, depending on if it's seasoned or not, to take best advantage of those buffs, since they cost 2,000 talent to use every time. But it, accelerates research speed for 4 hours, construction speed for 4 hours. Typically, these are used in tandem with Abyss Days to give the entire state an extra buff above and beyond. There are buffs that you can give to people in the state as emperor. So, Queen is more gathering, Chief Judge, resource production in city, and 10% on construction speed. Supreme Commander is attack and defense. Supreme Commander can edit the War Chief and Defense Minister, which is training speed, marching speed buffs, as well as attacks. Chief Judge can modify Defense Minister and Space Envoy, which Space Envoy, 5% research speed buff, take advantage of it when you can. And the Queen can edit the Space Envoy and Development Minister, which is, hey, another 10% on construction speed. So, take full advantage of these titles. Ask for them. When you put administrators in place, make sure they are active people who can get these titles out as quick as possible. The faster they are applied, the faster that person can start their research, or their construction, or their troop training, and have that title actually affect the overall time it takes to get that stuff done, and give them the buff and time reduction required. There's honor rewards that you can bestow as Emperor for anybody who's been active and helping out. Great little bonuses for everybody to get. And that more or less covers Origin. So you keep possession of the throne. Best case scenario, you merge with that opposing alliance beforehand. If you have to, merge afterwards. In this case here, what happened was we had merged. Part of the deal was I was to make the Reds leader a title Darfor. I had done so. I had done everything as part of our agreement. I had made sure another one of his members was titled Darfor as well. Made sure that, I was open, communicative, whole 9 yards. We kept the throne going. We were doing great. He was getting top rewards. And then he decided that, we should have been sharing the throne, which was never part of the agreement, because last I checked, I smoked his entire alliance, sat in that throne for 9 hours, and they couldn't kick me out. So to the winner goes the better terms. I had never agreed to splitting it with him. He felt that that was a short because apparently I was humiliating him by not sharing it. He never vocalized any of that. He had made keeps in the next 2 states that had since started, and he's now the leader of the opposition in state 108. And he sat there and decided to get drunk one night, kick everybody from the Alliance, destroy our headquarters, destroy all of our border stones, all the way back to about here before I woke up, or got woken up, kicked everybody out of Alliance, and spent most of one Alliance resource, which I don't know why, but just so he could sit there and try and push and take everything over and take over what was rightfully his, apparently. Long story short, it didn't work. We came back with a vengeance. We've started rebuilding. He pulled that move far too early for it to be effective or to slow us down or stop us in season. And this is what he's got to deal with now. We've been pushing him back. He's been panic building, wasting Alliance resources. And eventually, this will all be dealt with. But that's the unfortunate reality, is some people are just dirtbags like that. I've only ever seen that happen in a couple states. Normally, well, it's not a normal thing for that to happen, but that's just life. So, we deal with the best that we can. Who's farming in Origin right now? Oh no, okay. You should not be farming in Origin. But anyway. Bad man. So that covers most of that. So yeah. You'll go through. After the first throne, you'll pick up whatever other gates that you can. Pick up whatever other towers and rewards that you can. And go through all of the events that are happening to try and stockpile as much resources as you can before seasonal play. Oh hey, instant harvest is ready. Use that. So you want to keep doing that and keep pushing to get your keep up to level 22 so that you're ready for any fights that happen. Now, I will show you some different events as they come up. Things that you should be paying attention to. Most of these events, i.e. this one here, it's called Cloud9. It's a scam. Do not do it. That's for you to look into if you want. Not worthwhile. Interstellar Lotto, not worthwhile. You do get 2 tokens to use for free each day. It doesn't show up here right now. You can use it if you want. It's a pay-to-play event, not worth it. Bear Bonanza, very good event. Take full advantage of this event while you can. Go through it, read through it on your own time. Super worthwhile to do. Lots of good materials and resources to help you push your keep. So that pretty well sums it up for you've hit CH17. You're getting ready to hit CH18, get your first T-frame. And then the push requirements to get yourself up to CH level 22. Keep all of your resource plots maxed. Keep your trade, same level as your keep. Your training centers, same level as your keep. Keep troop training going non-stop. Parts workshop, keep max level. Keep those parts. Materials producing non-stop. Energy reactor for your antimatter fuel rods. Keep that going once in a while. You don't have to keep it going all the time. If you can get a stockpile of about 10,000, you're doing good. These going non-stop. Research going non-stop. Keep at least your first 2 of these Titan docks at the same level as your keep. Each dock is more expensive than the last to upgrade, so these can be a lower level, but eventually get them to the same level as you can. That will give you enough population so you can continue upgrading your keep. And as you can see, your resources required keep going up. So having farms will help you offset those resource costs immensely and away you go. So that pretty well concludes it for this one. The next we will show is, so you've hit CH22, the push to CH25, and what to kind of start expecting once you get into CH25. I will get more in depth with the Titan parts, with heroes and the hero equipment. So your M gear.
The fight against Astra belongs.
Turn your hero animations off. Saves you a lot of time, a lot of headache. So I'll get more in depth with your M gear, your hero's rank, your hero skill levels, the overall levels, and how to pair your heroes up for the proper lines to have the best results. Going forward, and then we'll start doing specific videos on different things, different events, and I'll start showing everybody what happens in seasonal play when you get into it and you start dealing with towers, tiles, things like that in Season 1, which is, there's an example of. So if this was helpful, any likes, follows, shares, greatly appreciated. Aside from that, have yourselves a good day, people.